Oh my God! Welcome back to Bugs Pug. I was gonna sing something to start the episode, but then I lost my nerve, and our recording thing was dumb. Welcome back. I'm
Cool.
Bert.
I'm Clay.
Don't yell into the mic.
I-
I saw you peek it.
I didn't realize. Did you? Did you
I
see
saw
me?
it on here.
Oh,
There's a light on here that'll go
Okay.
off if you peek the mic.
I'm used to the old stuff. where
Well, I'm
we
used
can
to you like not facing your mic
Yeah.
and like looking at the wall or
Well,
something while you're talking.
I did
So.
not face my mic when I yelled into it.
I mean, you were right next to me. You were right here.
I didn't realize where I was.
You goober. All right. So we're 1 week into the NHL season, but before we get to that, Clay, what are we drinking?
We are drinking Lord Hobo
Lord Hobo.
Brewery today. Their Doom Sauce.
Boom.
It's a black double IPA. They are out of Woburn, Massachusetts.
It's right near Boston.
Yeah. And
Oh,
oh,
I like that.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a double IPA.
Oh, interesting. I wasn't expecting that. We were talking about this right before we started, but I don't think I've ever had a black IPA before. Actually, I don't think I've ever even seen one. That's why I
yummy.
picked this because I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So I know 21st Amendment Brewery makes a really good black IPA. I can't think of the name of
It's
it.
tasty.
And then Heavy Seas, which is down in Baltimore, has
Baltimore.
made a very good black IPA.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Earn.
Earn.
I love that video so
great.
much. My favorite part is the guy that's like, yeah, nailed it. It's so good.
Dang, we really talk like that? Yeah.
All right, yeah. So shout out. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it tastes more like a stout or a porter
Yeah.
than an IPA. You get a little hint of that IPA in
you
there.
get that
It's almost like
that
the
pine sap
it's
at the
almost
end.
like the but the stouty porteriness of it kind of smooths that over.
exactly.
Really good.
That's why they're
really
yummy.
good. I like it.
And this is an 8%
Yeah, 8%.
Doom Sauce.
Shout out Lord Hobo. I love that. Love that brewery name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Would you like to start, or do you want me to start?
You know, I'll start.
Oh, I saved all. I should have told you this before we start. I saved all my injuries and some news for the very end.
I didn't. So
Okay,
let's go.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
All right. So,
I should have mentioned that earlier.
oh well,
Yeah.
whatever. New season,
matter.
new us.
Isn't it fun when we do notes differently, you
It's
guys?
great. All right, starting off with the Atlantic Division.
All right.
We're also going to start with Boston,
Boston.
who, despite our predictions, started the season really well.
Yeah, there's a few teams that have started the season basically the opposite of what everybody expected them to be.
Now, one game was against it was
One game
against
was
Washington.
against Washington.
Yeah, but that's not the
It's Arizona was the other one.
trap game. But Boston's 2-0, beating Washington, beating Arizona, 5-2 and 6-3 for those games. Yeah, they just played really well. They made Washington look really slow, and then Arizona's Arizona. Like,
Yeah, but well, I'll just mention it now. I'll mention it again when we do Arizona. That game was actually tied at 3
it was.
at a certain point. Boston did end up scoring 3 in a row in the third period to win that game, but it's not like the Coyotes were just trash the entire game. They were in it until like 10 or 15 minutes left in the game.
You see, wasn't that also the case with the Pittsburgh game with them?
Sort of.
I was
we'll talk about it. Arizona will be my first team.
I was thinking of a black and gold team
Yeah.
that they were doing close with. I guess it was both of them.
It was both of them. Yeah.
All right. AJ Greer, I was gonna say, is their. No, I'm wrong. Pasta and David Krejci. David Krejci's back.
Oh yeah, David Krejci is back.
His first game back, he scored a goal and had 2 assists. He had
Nice.
another assist in that Arizona game, and so did Pasta, because in the Washington game, Pasta had 1 goal and 3 assists. So both of them have 1 goal, 4 assists
It's pretty good.
in those 2 games.
Still waiting on that Pasta extension though. They're apparently working on it.
Apparently they're working
I'm
on it.
interested to see what that's going to be.
And then so now they are running the Czech line. It's Krejci, Pasta, and who else is the Czech player on that team?
I have no idea. Andre Kashe isn't there anymore.
No, shoot. Eh,
No clue.
got no idea.
It's some other Czech player.
Unfortunately, Jake DeBrusk got injured in the Washington game.
a bummer.
He is day-to-day with an upper body.
Bummer.
He missed the Arizona game. He's probably going to miss the game, I think, tonight, the Monday.
Yes, there were no games yesterday.
Monday the 17th, so he's day-to-day. Also, Brandon Carlo is on the IR, so that's another defenseman that they've lost. They're losing another defenseman with an upper body. So, no fun.
No fun at all. No
For
fun
them.
at all.
All right, next up is Buffalo, who split their week 1-1. They beat Ottawa pretty handedly.
Yeah.
And then they lost in a very close game against Florida. Both goalies, Anderson and Comrie, played. They split those games.
Oh yeah, Anderson played really well against
Anderson
Ottawa.
is one of their players of the week because he went 35 for 36 with a .972 save percentage.
Pretty good for
at 41 years old.
He's 10 years older than both of us.
So I did see a Twitter,
A Twitter.
a tweet where one of his friends was yelling at him to retire or something like that.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, you're old, retire. And his wife commented on that, saying that Anderson Tom Brady'd him.
Gotta love when the wives pipe up and be
Right.
like,
It's
shut
like
up.
you said you were
Defend
gonna.
their
He said he
husbands.
was gonna retire, and then he came back,
Yeah.
and then he commented like, as long as you don't pull a Giselle.
And then Giselle Bundchen.
So they like to have fun.
Commented on it and was like, hey, Craig Anderson, what's up?
Rasmus Dahlin had 2 goals and an assist
Nice.
over those 2 games, and he got pretty chippy with
did he?
everybody.
Good for him. Good for that little Swede.
We are like looking at dickhead Dahlin, and I'm
Ooh,
kind of all for
ooh.
it because when people make him mad, he plays better.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ekblad was starting to try to get Ekblad was trying to get under his skin in the Florida game, and then he roofed it. So
I see. Power. It's like there's several players that are like, oh, they got mad and took a dumb penalty, but then they like score a huge goal right afterwards. One that comes to mind, probably because I'm a Pittsburgh fan, is Evgeny Malkin.
Malkin, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he snowed Josh Norris in the face.
I did
in the
see
Ottawa
that.
game.
That's right. I did see that. I thought that was really funny. He snowed him for diving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even dive, I would say.
He did it anyway.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that. I
but
like
yeah.
that energy.
Yeah.
Oops.
Their penalty kill isn't worth talking about, or special teams. I will also say a lot of shorthanded goals this week. A lot of shorthanded goals.
Quite a few.
Boston gave up one against Arizona, and unfortunately, and Buffalo gave up one against Ottawa.
There's this week has been kind of nutty, as the first few weeks usually are.
Yes.
With really sloppy play, including a player that we'll talk about in a few minutes who actually had 2 shorthanded goals in a 5 minutes period. Yeah.
All right, that's it for Buffalo. Next
Buffalo.
up is Detroit, who went 2-0 to start
Hey.
the season. They shut out Montreal and they beat up on New Jersey. And New Jersey was the fans were calling for their coach's head by the third period.
As they should.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So their goalies are actually kind of their star players.
Nice.
Billy Huso posted a shutout. Nedeljkovic had 37 for 39 with a .949 save percentage.
That's pretty good.
Penalty kill was perfect. Power play was not.
We're
Power play was worthless.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but we're gonna try to not like rattle off numbers.
Not as much.
Not as much as last season. We felt
They're worth talking about.
Yeah, no. If they're like really good, we'll mention them, or really bad. But just to help with the flow.
Dylan Larkin had a goal and 3 assists
It's pretty good.
in those 2 games, but Tyler Bertuzzi is
It's another guy who needs an extension.
Yes,
Yeah,
he is out for 4 to 6 weeks
Bertuzzi too. Actually, now that I think about it.
with an upper body.
Hey,
Unfortunately,
just when he could start going to Canada. Again.
just when he could start going to Canada again. And Vrana's going to miss this next game for a personal reason, but he should be back fast.
Hopefully, that's nothing serious.
Next up is Florida. Also went 2-0 this week. For the most part, except for one or two games, the Atlantic really beat up on the Metro.
Yeah,
Except,
the games
except
that
for
were
a couple,
played.
there were like two or three
yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah.
There were like 2 or 3 games where that didn't happen. But for the most part, Atlantic beat up on the Metro because Florida beat the Islanders 3-1, and then, like I said, they beat Buffalo. Tkachuk is the top player.
Love that you refuse to not say the T.
I said T.
No, you're not supposed to
I
say
don't
the
care.
T. That's where I was laughing.
2
at.
goals and an assist. And started shit with Buffalo at the end of the day.
Of
in
course
the
he
game.
did.
Oh, yeah.
That's their entire family.
And then... Yeah, but
Yeah.
at least Brady looks like he's going to take a lunch money on the playground.
He looks like the kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right. Yeah, he has that face.
He does.
Give me your lunch money, stupid. He pushes you down.
So yeah, Bobrovsky, 9.7 save percentage in the first game of the season, and then Spencer Knight got the win as well.
Right on. Spencer Knight.
Montreal started the season shocking Toronto
Yeah, for real. Oh, Toronto.
because they went 1-2 this week, beating Toronto in just a bad turnover at the end. Basically, it was a new season rust for Toronto. Montreal punished them for every single mistake that they
Toronto
made.
seems to be sleepwalking through their games so far, but it's the first week, so
Yes.
a lot of teams are doing that.
Yeah. Then they got shut out by Detroit, like I said, and then lost to Washington to finish out the week.
Woo! Take
Al-
that, Montreal.
Allen in the Detroit game,
Mm-hmm.
37 for 38 with a 9.74 in a 3-0 loss.
And he just had a baby. Congratulations.
I think he's out. I don't
No,
think the
it
baby.
was-
He's out for the baby.
Oh, okay, but
because
maybe his wife is going.
it
I know
hasn't-
he's not playing
The
tonight.
baby hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah.
Any day
It's
now.
coming though.
So,
I think
yes,
she
he is
might
out.
be going into labor.
Oh, that's
I
good
don't know.
for-
I know
good for
he's
her.
not playing tonight.
Yes, he is not.
For that reason.
But in the first period, Detroit, Allen was 25 for 25 on saves in the first period.
Yikes!
Yeah, their defense is bad.
Yay!
Allen is good. Their defense bad.
Tanking for that boy Bedard.
Yes. Cole Caulfield has 3 goals and assist.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, in one game, Cole Caulfield had the same amount of goals for the first half of last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems to really like St. Louis a lot better than their former coach. So
It's maybe what their former coach
I think
was
it was
having
what
him
it's
do.
scheming, whatever he was having him
scheming
do.
and just confident. Like
Confidence too, probably.
if
Well, 'cause Cole
if he's
Caulfield-
punishing the rookie for every single mistake that they're going to
Yeah.
make, that also can get in the rookie's head.
Cole Caulfield's also not particularly large, right?
No.
So the epitome of not particularly large players being very good is now his coach.
Right.
So that might have helped too.
Mm-hmm.
He might have coached him up a little bit, been like, "Yo, this is you need to
Do this and
do this, do that," So that probably helps too. But Montreal just kind of in general last year, once St. Louis took over, played a lot better.
A lot
They
better.
didn't win a ton of games, but they were in the games at
Yes.
the very least.
All right. Ottawa is up next
Ottawa,
after a lot of hype during the offseason.
0-2, huh?
0-2.
Yeah, it's one of the teams that I mentioned
Yep.
doing the
Now-
opposite of what people thought.
Now it's early in the
It's the
season.
first week.
It's
But
early in
Clay,
the season.
what kind of hockey reporters would we be if we didn't overanalyze every single fucking thing that was going on?
I mean, we
in
should
the
be.
first week.
You're right. You're right.
Ottawa is going to go 0-82 this year.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Like I said, they lost to Buffalo. They did also lose to Toronto. And then they don't
Hello, Ruthie.
have a top player.
Makes
'cause
sense.
They went 0-2. Cam Talbot is out for 4 weeks with a
Get away from the mic. Get away
rib
from the mic.
injury. So it's all Forsberg for now.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, baby. Sorry, my dog has crawled up into my lap.
I know Giroux got some points. DeBrincat got some points. It's what you kind of expect, but
It's early.
Yeah, it's early.
It's early. As long, I think we said this last year, but you don't really have a feel for a team, I don't think, until about 20 games into the year. Wherever they're at,
I would
there
agree.
is
The
a pretty
first
good
quarter-
predicament. Yeah, first quarter of the season. Once that's up, that's a pretty good indication of where a team is going, barring injuries and whatever.
I mean, crazy stuff can happen. They can
Certainly.
also turn it on.
Hey,
We've seen that with St. Louis. We've seen that with Pittsburgh.
I mean, look at it this way: Philly, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? In the beginning of the season, lost 10 straight games, and at the end of the season, they won 10 straight games and made the playoffs.
Yep.
So it can happen. And then I think the year previous to that, they won 10 straight games and didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So but 20 games, we'll see where we're at.
right. Tampa Bay. Bad week for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, not a great week for Tampa.
1-2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was a 1-3 game for Tampa Bay
Oh, against the Rangers.
against the Rangers. At no point did Tampa Bay look like a threat at all.
I'll tell
It was
you.
the first game of the season. Vasilevsky saved their bacon 36
Oh yeah,
for
he was the
39.
only reason it
The
wasn't a
only
lot more
reason
goals.
it wasn't a complete
Because
blowout.
if you look at the other loss this week, which was against the Penguins, I watched that game.
Elliott
was in net, and they lost 6-2. And again, they were not in control at all in that game.
No, the only game they were in control of was against the Blue Jackets.
Yeah,
So Stamkos is their top player because
he's
got 4 goals
he has
in
4
3
goals.
games.
Yeah, I think he
Also an
scored in
assist.
all 3 of. I believe he scored in all 3 of the games.
Now, I will mention Tampa Bay's power play because they went 3 for 12.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's
Not bad at all.
That's where you would like, but they also went 9 for 12 on the penalty kill.
Really bad.
Awful.
It's not good at all.
So
I think they gave up 2 against the Penguins.
they did.
Yeah.
2 against the Penguins, 1 against the Rangers, and then they were perfect against the Blue Jackets. But still,
Yeah.
You want those numbers higher.
Oh, absolutely.
For penalty kill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony Cirelli, unfortunately, is out 8 weeks with an upper body, which is
sucks.
not good for
Yeah,
Tampa.
that sucks.
They need him. But that's what I got. All right, and last up, mentioned 2 of these games already. Toronto Maple Leafs are 2-1 this week,
They've been okay this week.
losing to Montreal.
Yeah.
Muzzin was a bad turnover for I
I
believe.
blew that game for them.
Yeah, the end there.
I mean, it was
I
tied
think
at
it was,
that point,
I think
but
it was Anderson who scored that winner. I can't.
I think so. Josh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Josh Anderson. Yeah.
Losing that game to Montreal. They beat Washington with Samsonov in net, so you saw that coming. And then they also beat Ottawa 3-2 for both of those 2 games.
Yeah. Probably not the start that Toronto fans were hoping for, where they were going to come hot out of the gate. Now,
No.
they did win 2 of those games, so whatever, I guess. But
a
losing
win's
to
a-
Montreal,
Win is a win. It doesn't matter how you do it.
and that game against Washington was like, they were barely there.
So Washington was up
I think 2-1 at a
2-1 at a certain
yeah.
point. Yeah, and then they fought back for the win. John Tavares had a goal and 3 assists in those 3 games, so he's their top points getter. Unfortunately, before the Washington game, Matt Murray left practice with an injury.
Yeah,
LTIR, he is out
for at least 4 weeks. I
4
think.
to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's. I saw somebody tweet that it was.
They've already brought up Shalgren.
Yeah. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise. You hate when people get injured, but because they put him on LTIR, they were actually able to bring up Wayne Simmons.
They were able to bring up Simmons?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's
he's
good.
a vetman
Oh,
contract, yeah. And Murray, I believe, is like a $6 million contract. They're able to bring up.
Not that much because Ottawa retained.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was probably like $4 million at least.
Yeah.
They're able to bring up Simmons, Nick Robertson, and Victor Mete. So they were literally only playing, and Shalgren. So they were really only playing with the team that was on the ice. They
Yes.
did not have any backups because
No.
of cap restraints. But yeah, there you go.
Because we've mentioned.
I'm sure Steve Simmons is very happy that Wayne Simmons is back.
Yes.
Of course. I just realized they have the same last name.
Yeah, they do.
Oh.
We've mentioned that some teams are pretty close with the cap, especially with the LTIR stuff.
Yeah. They were, I believe it was Toronto was $4 away from the cap.
Yes.
Yeah. Now it's more with Murray on.
At the start of the season, $4
Yeah,
was
Vegas.
all that separated Toronto
I
and
believe.
the Cap.
Yeah, I believe Vegas was 17 and Edmonton was like 160 or something like that. Pretty close.
Yeah, but Toronto's not the closest.
Not anymore.
No, at the start they weren't the closest.
Who was the closest?
Vancouver,
Oh, really?
0. They were exact.
Wow. Hey, that's pretty impressive.
I know.
Honestly.
Yeah, they made the Cap.
If this was a video game, that would be an achievement.
Yeah.
Like use exactly the exact amount of cap space that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
All right, that's all for me.
It for the Atlantic. All right.
It for the Atlantic.
Let's flip conferences and talk about the Central.
Ooh.
Let's start out with Arizona since we talked about them a little bit already. They're 0-2 this week. They did give up 6 goals in both of those games, 6-2 to the Penguins, 6-3 to Boston. But I will say, both of those games, they were closer than those scores. Arizona looked horrible in the first period against the Penguins, where the Penguins scored 3 goals in the first, and the Coyotes were barely even there.
Right.
They weren't stopping them at all. I feel really bad for Karel Vejmelka, the goalie on Arizona.
Oh, it's going to be bad for him.
He's going to have a bad year because their defense is porous. But from the second period on, the Coyotes really fought back against the Penguins, and it was more of a back and forth game. Jari played very well for the Penguins. They scored 2 power play goals, both by Nick Ritchie in that game.
Oh, good for him.
But they did have more fight than that score might indicate. And in the Boston game, like we already mentioned, that game was tied at 3 heading into the third period. I can't. They were tied at a certain point later on.
At some
in the
point,
game.
they were 3.
It was tied at 3. And Boston, did score 3 in a row. But Arizona was in the game, at least for like 2/3 of the game.
Oh, that's good.
And hey, look at it this way. The power play for Arizona scored 3 goals in these 2 games, as I believe they scored 28 all of last year, which is horrible.
Yeah, that's not
somebody
good
mentioned
at
that
all.
in the Penguins game. One of the announcers was like, Arizona only scored 28 all of last year, and however many power plays that they had, and then they scored 2 against the Penguins. So there you go.
Is that a record for like the worst?
I have no idea. It's got to be close. That's really bad.
That's really bad.
Excuse me. But yeah, so Nick Ritchie, their top player, had those 2 power play goals against the Penguins.
Good.
A little bit of silver lining against Arizona. They didn't look horrible. So
Perfect.
that's as much as you can ask for,
Yeah.
really. Let's move to Chicago, who lost to Colorado 5-2, then got shut out by Vegas 1-0.
Yep.
And then beat San Jose 5-2.
Yeah.
In that first game against Colorado, Chicago was 2 for 3 on the power play and 2 for 6 on the penalty kill.
Ooh.
2 for 6 on the penalty kill. In that Vegas game, that game was not as close as that score indicated. They got outshot 37-27 overall in that game.
Ooh.
But in the San Jose game, they did go down 2-0, but then scored 5 unanswered goals to win that game. So little silver lining.
Yeah, 100%. They were able to battle back.
Yeah. And part of that battling back was their top player of this week, Sam Lafferty, who had 2 shorthanded goals in about a 5-minute span on 2 different penalties, and an assist versus San Jose. Big game for him.
Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah, that's about it for Chicago. Moving on to Colorado, who won 1 and lost 1 this week.
Yes.
Like I just mentioned, they beat Chicago 5-2. And, I had the scores reversed, but whatever, they won.
Yes.
But then lost to Calgary, and the penalty kill has been a problem in both of these games because Colorado was 1 for 3 on the penalty kill in the first game and 3 for 5 in the second game. So that's 4 for 8, 50% penalty kill in the first
bad.
2 games. Really bad.
That's
2
bad.
power play goals in both of those games, and Calgary pretty much had all of the control of that game.
Yes, they did.
I believe, if I remember correctly, Calgary went up 5-1, and then Colorado scored a couple late to make it a little closer, but Calgary had control the entire
I didn't
time.
finish watching that game, but I watched Calgary run up that score.
Yeah, they were Calgary had a grip on that game, certainly. Mikko Rantanen had 5 assists this week, though.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for
a
him.
lot. Quite a lot. All right, moving on. Dallas had a good start to their season,
They did.
beating Nashville twice.
Yeah.
A weird home and home to start the season after Nashville started a weird home and home in another country.
Yep.
But we'll get to Nashville in a sec. Dallas beat Nashville 4-1 in the first, 5-1 in the second game.
Very convincing.
Oh yeah,
Very convincing.
They dominated Nashville. 2 for 4 in the power play in that first game. Mason Marchment had 3 goals, including a highlight reel goal.
He did. I forgot about
I forget
that.
which game it was in,
first
but
one.
it was in
the
the
first
first one. It was a dirty goal where he just like dipped and duked all around a bunch of Nashville players and
He's
then
a
just slammed it home.
bad man.
Yeah. I wonder if Carolina Hurricanes fans are watching that and been like, he could have been on our team. But then he was just like, bye. Ruop Hintz also had 2 goals in the second game against Nashville.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think
He
Marchman
picked-
had 2 in the first game and 1 in the second, and Hintz 2 in the second game.
Hintz picked Yozi's pocket. Did he score or get an assist for that one?
I don't remember.
I think he assisted Robinson.
Yeah, Jason Robertson did score in that second game too. So which is nice. I'm sure they were a little worried he might be rusty since he wasn't at camp.
Yeah.
But Jake Ottinger played great in these first 2 games too. So that's a good sign.
Good.
I know I was worried that he would just like maybe not live up to the hype after the playoff because it'd be hard to.
The playoffs kind of made him.
Yeah.
Like,
so
there was a lot of recency
I was
bias.
just like, I don't know if he's going to keep playing like that the whole time. But hey, he's starting off pretty strong. So it's not quite that one game in the playoffs where he faced like 70 shots or something,
Right.
and stopped like most of them. Excuse
It
me.
was like a 1-0 game that they lost.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Dallas. Moving to Minnesota, who just
Whoa.
looks like a dung heap currently.
Oh.
They got 7 dropped on them in both of
Yes.
their first 2 games, losing 7-3 to the New York Rangers. 6 of the 7 goals were on 5-on-5, so you can't even blame like the special teams for that. And then lost 7-6 to LA in a very back and forth game.
That game
from
was
what I saw.
crazy.
Yeah, they Minnesota was 3 for 6 on the power play in that game and 4 for 6 on the penalty kill.
I watched that game, or I watched a good chunk of that game because it was a 10:00 game,
Yeah.
and or if not 10:00, it was still a later game.
No, it was in Minnesota. It was probably 8:00. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
That game was nuts. It was like 6-4.
Yeah.
At one, like when I tuned,
Well, I think
when
the
I tuned
first
in the
period
second,
ended 4-2.
Yeah.
For LA. Yeah.
when I tuned in the second, it was already 6-4. So like, goals were at a premium,
Yeah.
and it was. And
Or
it
no,
was,
they weren't. Goals were cheap.
It was just one of those things where, were the Kings going to be able to hold off the Wild?
There was a late push by the Wild, but the
Yeah.
Kings were able to hold it off. Ruthie really wants to be on the podcast.
Yes, she does.
Or she just wants attention in
It's
general.
more in my lap right now.
She has climbed up into both of our laps at this point.
No, you're not getting your back feet up here.
One of Minnesota's main problems is that Marc-Andre Fleury
Played like doggy
has
doo-doo.
played like crap so far. Now, again, it's only 2 games, but he has something like 80% save percentage or something like that through 2 games.
That's
He
not
got-
what you want.
He got yanked after the first period of the first game. And then, who's their backup? Kapanen? I think it's Kakkonen is their backup
Is
goalie.
it Kakkonen? Because I thought like Kakkonen's
Oh,
on the
no.
Sharks.
I think he's on the Sharks. I think you're right. I don't remember. Oh, it's Gustafsson
Gustafsson
is their backup.
Because Gustafsson was in the game and I was watching.
Yeah. He didn't play that much better. So, Minnesota, you gotta.
Defense.
Yeah, you gotta clean this up a little bit. Hey, Boldy, their young centerman, had 2 goals versus Minnesota.
Good for him.
One highlight reel goal if I
Versus
remember correctly.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
or they are Minnesota.
Oh, he is on Minnesota. It was against LA. Sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah, my bad. And then Zuccarello had 2 goals and 2 assists so far.
Awesome.
in the first 2 games. So, a couple little bright spots there, but not a ton.
No.
Hey, you scored 9 goals in your first 2 games,
That's good.
but you gave up 14. So
That's bad.
That's bad. So you can score. You should just stop them, though. All right, let's move on to Nashville. So I included the global games.
We mentioned them in the last.
It was still part of the. It was still part of the first week, technically.
Yeah.
So Nashville's 2-2 so far. They did take both of those games against San Jose. They're 2-2 against 2 teams.
Yes.
So weird.
It's
The global
not
game I
normal.
get. The global game I understand, because you only want to send 2 teams over.
right.
So they beat San Jose in the first game 4-1, and then the second game 3-2. But then they dropped both games to Dallas, like I already mentioned.
2-2.
A little bright spot. I mean, they're playing okay. This is like Nashville hockey is like right at 500 essentially
Yep.
until the end of the year when they like kick it up a little bit and then make the playoffs.
And then make the playoffs.
Or don't. We'll see.
Well-
But they're starting already at exactly 500. Nino Niederreiter fitting right in there. Has
Perfectly
4
balanced.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Thanos said. He had a point.
He did have a point.
Nino Niederreiter fitting
Wasn't a
right
good
in.
one.
No, he could have like wished a bunch of other better things to happen.
Continue.
Nino Niederreiter for the 3rd time is fitting in well there as he has 4 goals in those first 4 games.
Good for Nino.
Yeah. That was a good signing. I think it was.
It was never going to be a bad signing.
No, it was 4 years, $4 million. Pretty
Yeah.
reasonable contract. Let's move on to St. Louis. They only played 1 game this week. It was against Columbus, and they won.
Woo.
5-2 was the end of that score. Vladimir Tarasenko had 2 goals. Pavel Buchnevich a goal and an assist in that game. So, not
What-
much else to say.
What did Winnipeg do?
Winnipeg also only played 1 game this week, and they beat the Rangers 4-1. Connor Hellebuck saved 40 of 41 shots.
Dang.
So he won this game.
I didn't
Well,
realize that.
I take that back. Mark Scheifele also had 2 goals in this game.
Dang.
But Hellebuck he stopped
He was Hellebuck.
40 shots.
That's amazing.
So that's like old Hellebuck. That's what you want to see. Because the last couple of years he's been fine, but like not what he was when he won the Vezina not that long ago.
Right.
So yeah, that's it for the Central.
Oh, also with Florida, they actually
Yeah.
looked. Yes, they let in 3 goals against Buffalo, but they looked very good defensively.
Yeah.
Which is what you wanted from.
A little worrying since
Maurice.
since they traded off Uyghur.
Right.
But yeah, that is helpful. I was worried because they traded off Uyghur,
Yeah.
but with Maurice, that should help quite a
It
bit.
was a very good coach, and basically
Just kind of lost the locker room in Winnipeg.
their defense did shut Buffalo down in that 3rd period.
That's what you want.
Because
You can be
Buffalo was making a push.
Well, you remember last year, Florida
was batting.
came back from like multiple goal deficits so many times. That's not a good way to play.
No, and
And it bit them in the butt in the playoffs, and then they got routed by Tampa Bay.
right.
So
So being able to like hold defensively is
Mm-hmm.
going to be very good for Florida.
maybe you'll score a little bit less, but that's okay. Because if you can hold the other team to 2 goals and you score 3 or 4,
Perfect.
you're going to win. So that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Flipping over to Anaheim,
Anaheim.
they went 1-1.
Yes, they did. got
They won their
smoked
opener
in
in
that
overtime
second game.
against Seattle.
Yeah.
And then they got absolutely destroyed
Stomped
by the Islanders.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of that game.
Oh, did
it
you?
was woof. Well, because they were playing East Coast, I don't get to like. It's hard to stay up super late, so I'm gonna watch as many West Coast games.
We have. This might shock you. We do have jobs. This isn't.
I have.
Until you guys tell all of your family members and friends to start listening to this podcast, we're gonna have jobs.
I'm
So,
30. I have a bedtime.
You're 31.
Shoot.
Oh wait, no, you're not. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I'm sorry. I forgot. I thought.
Give me 2 months.
Yeah.
Um,
You will be in 2 months. I'm 31.
Yeah, I have a bedtime, and it's 10:30, so I don't get to watch a lot. of
It's
East
funny. That's what mine is too, pretty much.
I don't get to watch a Pacific games.
Once you hit a
But I
certain
did.
once you hit a certain age, it gets to like around that time, and you're like, oh, I'm so tired.
Right? All right. 7-1 against the Islanders.
Or 8 o'clock, depending on which one of our friends we're talking about. Or 6 o'clock.
Gibson got yanked.
Yeah.
Stolarz did not do much better.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? It's just kind of one of those games.
But Gibson in the first game, 44 for 48. Not
That's
bad.
pretty good, yeah.
Also an assist
Wow.
for the game-winning overtime goal.
Hey. Oh, that's right. I did see that. Yeah.
Primary assist, I believe.
Good old Johnny Whitehall.
Oh, no. That wasn't the primary. Either way, the goalie got an assist for overtime.
Gotta
game
love
winner.
to see goalie points.
Yep. Love it.
Before the season started, there was somebody on The Athletic, I don't remember who it was, but they wrote, it was just kind of a joke article, but they were like weirdly specific predictions for each team
Yeah.
for the season. And they were just like, some of them were just like, hey, you know this game that they have on February 4th? They're going to win 3-2. I think that was Boston's or something. I don't remember who that was, but he was like talking about something else, and he was like, oh, right, the prediction. They win 3-2 on February 4th. It was really funny article, but for the Rangers, he was like, I think Shesterkin is it Ilya?
It is Ilya.
Ilya Shesterkin, yeah. Is going to score a goal this year.
Oh, he's trying.
And I was like, okay.
Boy's trying.
I say, hey, go for it. Why not? Marc-Andre Fleury is dying
He wants
to
one
score
so
one.
bad. I will say 2 for 7 on the power play for Anaheim.
Not horrible.
Because against Seattle, they were 2 for 3.
Hey,
It's a good game.
It's, still,
It's a good game.
Overall statistics, not bad.
6 for 9 on the penalty kill.
Nice.
Yeah. Troy Terry is their top scorer.
Not Torrey Terry.
Not Torrey. Torrey Terry is his evil brother.
His evil dimension.
That's when Troy's doing bad.
He's Torrey Terry.
Yeah. 2 goals in his 2 goals and assist against Seattle.
Oh.
But he scored the lone goal against the Islanders, so it's 3 goals and assists for the week.
At least Troy's trying.
Troy's doing great.
That's probably what his coach said at the end of that game. At least Troy's trying.
All right. Anaheim's going to be bad.
They're young. So I think
they're not going to be San Jose,
I
but
think
they'll
they'll
be
be up and down.
Yeah.
I think because that's kind of how young teams go. Is like they'll play really good for a stretch and then really bad for a stretch, and then they'll be below 500, but you'll be like, they looked good at certain points. You know, like Anaheim last year.
Right. Next up is Calgary, 2-0.
Oh yeah, Calgary has looked pretty good.
Like Bert said, they beat Colorado and they beat Edmonton.
Yeah. Two pretty good teams.
Markstrom played in the first game. Vladar played in the second.
God, I love that guy's name.
It's
Vladar.
He's going to be a good goalie too. Like he's a solid backup now.
Trade him for a couple second-round draft picks.
Nazem Kadri and Michael Stone are going to be their top players because they both have 1 goal and 2 assists. They were spreading the love around.
Hey,
in those
that's
games.
good too.
And to talk also about Colorado's special team woes,
Oh yeah.
they gave up a shorthanded goal.
Oh, did they? I
Yes.
forgot to write that down. Yeah.
Calgary was 3 for 9 on the power play. Unsustainable.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of teams that have. You know who else was also 3 of 9? I believe was Arizona. So
Good for them. 3 for 9 on the power play, 6 for 8 on the penalty kill, but they did get that shorthanded goal against Colorado. So
that's almost like 2 power play
give
goals.
it.
Yeah. I think if you're on the ice for a shorthanded given up, it should be a -2 to your plus minus.
Honestly,
it really
needs to
should
be.
be.
It needs to be another
It's pretty
stat.
embarrassing.
It needs to be another stat.
I mean, plus minus is kind of like a useless statistic anyway.
You know who's really good at giving up
I'm sorry. Yeah, go
shorthandeds? We will talk about them later. Is Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver. Come on. Yeah, drink that Lord Hobo. This is really good. I like
It's
this beer a lot.
delicious.
Yeah.
Next up is Edmonton. We're staying in Alberta.
All right.
Because of alphabetical order.
Look at you doing alphabetical order and not some weird thing that you think up and then don't explain until later.
The season's young.
And then you're like, guess how I'm doing this?
Season's young. My brain works in mysterious ways.
Until you get some medication, then it might
ADD.
then it might steady out a little bit.
I'm not taking it for this podcast. Are you kidding me?
Good. I
Edmonton.
love your chaos.
1-1.
All right.
Beating Vancouver and then losing to Calgary.
Yeah.
So, 4 for 8 on the power play.
You want to talk about not sustainable?
10 for 12 on the penalty kill. Not bad, but,
that's pretty okay, yeah. How did Campbell play? in his
Campbell
first few games?
played good.
I forgot to look at that. I was curious.
Campbell played good in the first game, and he laid a hit on somebody.
Ooh.
And it was, like, clean. Like, he was kind of playing the puck.
Nice.
33 for 36 in the first game. And then against Calgary, he got chased.
Well,
7 for 11 in the first period, he got chased.
hopefully that's not a trend.
They battled back, but lost in.
Because they gave him a bunch of money that they can't take away. So.
Right.
Ironclad contracts.
I'm confused about the score, but don't worry about it. We'll figure
That's
it out.
okay. I transposed a couple of my scores too, where I
Yeah.
wrote the one team won when they lost.
Well, I have 7 for 11, so that's 3 goals.
That's 4 goals.
That's where it is. It's the math. It's the math. It's the hobo. It's the hobo is where it's at. Yeah. So he got chased. They battled back to be within 1. That's what happened.
All right.
Skinner was perfect. 31 for 31. Once coming
So
in.
he came in relief and
Yes.
played well.
Top points getters. Surprise, surprise. Draisaitl and McDavid.
Oh, no way.
Oh, what?
Whoa.
Both have 5 points.
Dude, somebody else has got to score. If somebody else would start scoring on any consistent basis, they would win the President's Trophy probably.
All right, I'm sorry. Draisaitl has 6 points. McDavid has 4 goals and 1 assist. Draisaitl has 1 goal and 5 assists.
Well, trade them.
They're to each other, basically.
They played on the same goddamn line most
Someone
of the time.
did take a skate to the ear.
Oh, I saw. God,
He
I
is
saw that.
okay.
Yeah, he's okay, thankfully.
He is down 10% of an ear.
He had a big cut on his skull.
And the stitches, yeah.
But it didn't look deep,
No,
thankfully.
they weren't.
It was just kind of a glancing blow.
I mean, he needed stitches.
Oh, yeah, it didn't look pleasant by any means, but he's alive, so that's all that really matters.
Exactly. That's really all that matters.
And it wasn't life-threatening. in any
Wear
way.
ear guards, guys.
Yeah. Maybe you would have that 10% of your ear back. Whoever you were.
I can't. Yeah,
I can't remember who it was either, and I just looked at it
I
yesterday.
just looked at it today.
Yeah,
honestly,
it was, oh well.
it's not Chandler Stevenson. He's not on the team.
He can't hear us anyway.
Oh please! It was just a tip.
Gross. High-fived himself.
Next up is Los Angeles.
I just want you guys to know I did not high-five him.
Not even a little bit. It was all on me, baby. 1 for 2 this week.
1 and 2?
1 and 2.
Okay.
I'm doing that again.
Yeah, you did that last year.
I did
too,
a lot
and
last year.
I had to
Alright.
be like, what do you mean?
Their losses were to Vegas and Seattle, and the win was against
Minnesota.
like Bert said. Now, problem is they have let up 4 goals minimum a game.
Yeah, that's not great.
3-4 loss to the Knights, which a bad turnover led to the Knights winning with 12 seconds left.
Oh, yes, I saw that, yeah.
Uh,
I believe it was Mark Stone scored with 12 seconds left.
Yes, and then Sean Dursey was the one who turned it over. He had a great game
Other than that.
up until the bonehead play.
Other than that, he had a great
right
game.
at the end. So there's like 30 seconds left.
Come on, Darsey.
They're holding on to the puck basically at the goalie crease. They've been holding on to it for a while, and then he tries a stretch pass that gets intercepted, and then everyone collapses on the puck. Stone puts in the perfect shot. He puts it the one place where Quick and defenders aren't, and that seals the deal.
Stone's a great player. So.
And Stone looks healthy.
That's
For
good.
the first time
Yeah.
in 2 years,
Yeah.
that back surgery was exactly what he needed.
That's good.
He looks great. but that's not good for LA.
That's not good for anyone else in the Pacific.
Oh, not at all.
Well, because Stone is one of those rare wingers who is not only very good offensively, he's very good defensively.
He's so
too.
good defensively.
Usually wingers are not
No.
super good at defense. But
Wingers are looked down upon for, I don't know.
they're more scoring.
Between the centers and the wingers, you would rather a better center than a better winger.
I guess that's true. But because centers are expected to be good at both.
Yes.
At least that's what the best ones are. They're good at both.
Yes.
Look at
Matthews,
Matthews,
Crosby.
McDavid.
No.
He's not as good defensively.
Not as good.
Bergeron,
Mm-hmm.
and players like that are like, oh, they're so good, and they can score to outpace that.
Your
but,
Backstroms, too.
Yeah, your Backstroms as well. But wingers are usually not like, if they're not scoring, then what the hell else are they doing?
Right.
But he is one of those rare breeds who's very good at both.
And he punished the Kings
And
for
he
it.
did. Yeah, they made a mistake, and he buried it.
Quick, though, that game was 47 for 51.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
God, guys, play defense. Just play defense. It's okay.
I want to bring out this stat.
You have Drew Doughty. He's not hurt anymore.
No, he's not. They scored 3 power plays, but it was out of 14.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's kind of like scoring just because of how many opportunities you got, essentially.
You earned 14 power plays
14?
In-
How did you let up these many goals?
in 3 weeks. In 3
games.
games. 3 games, 14 power
Oh my
plays.
god, that's over 4 a game.
The problem was
What were the scores of their games again?
3-4.
You said they gave up at least 4 in each game,
It was
right?
3-4 against Vegas.
Uh-huh.
1-4 against Seattle.
They lost that bad to Seattle?
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
Seattle destroyed them.
Wow. And I know it was 7-6 versus
7-6.
Minnesota was their win, but
Yep.
you had nearly 5 power plays in each of those games. And you still lit up 4+ goals.
Because let me get to that penalty kill.
Oh, okay.
1, they had to kill 17 penalties.
What?
17.
Oh my god. How did you take that many penalties? I mean, I know it's like the first week of the season, but good lord.
5, 6, and 6. Those were those 3 games.
Oh god. Hey, welcome back.
And they only killed off 12 of them.
Oh god.
12 for 17 on
Disgusting.
the penalty kill.
Ruth, what do you think about that? She's back in my lap now.
Now, it was really bad against Minnesota because they were 3 for 6.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but they won. They actually ended up winning that game.
And they gave up a shorthanded goal against Seattle.
Yeah.
So, like,
Sorry,
even
I was
on the power play,
Kissing my dog.
They're giving
listening
up.
to you.
even on the power play, they're giving up goals.
Ooh, clean it up, LA.
Mm-hmm. I will say, they had 4 players have 4 points this week. Gabe Velarde, Iafallo, Kempe, and Kopitar.
3 relatively young guys
And Kopitar. Kopitar didn't have any goals, but he had 4 assists.
That's kind of always been the way he played, though.
Kempe had 3 goals and 1 assist, and
Stop hitting the table.
Velarde and Iafallo had 2 and 2.
I think.
Never.
Well, I know Velarde. I know Velarde is in his low 20s. I
He's
can't
their
remember how old.
Rookie.
I think he is because
he's
I don't think
technically
he
a
played
rookie.
last year, or he only played very little last year. I can't remember how old Iafallo is. He's not that old, though.
He's like 22.
Yeah. And then Kempe is a little older
25.
than that. Yeah, he's 25 or 26, I think.
But yeah,
They're still a young team, so that makes sense that they're
Velarde in the
making this
first
many
game
mistakes.
had 1 goal, 1 assist. He got into a scrap at the end of the game against Seattle, so they
You know, that's
that rivalry is brewing against
Good.
Seattle. I want,
Good.
yeah.
That's good though, because I think before
He's
this,
injury prone.
He's injury prone, and people were like, "Oh, he's kind of a bust. He hasn't really made the team yet on a pretty bad LA team. He
Right.
hasn't made the team." Hey, hot start. That'll shut everybody up.
Yes, he's doing very well right now. We're gonna move to San Jose. I didn't put,
They're 0-4.
I didn't put the stuff because we mentioned it last week.
Yeah.
That they lost.
I mean, I mentioned it
2.
again. They lost
Exactly.
2 to Nashville.
2-0. Yep.
Nope.
0-2.
Nope.
0-2.
Yeah.
The reverse. Losing to Carolina, which is fair.
Yeah, Carolina's a good team.
And they lost to Chicago.
Not a good team.
No. The Carolina game was very close. It was
Was
Brett.
it?
It was Brett Burns coming back to San Jose for the first time, which blows my mind.
What? What are you talking about? We're 3 games into the year.
Brett Burns.
He just got traded from San Jose this past summer
Oh shit!
to Carolina.
I'm thinking of Thornton.
There you go.
Yeah, Beard.
I don't think he's on the team.
Beard.
I don't think he's on it. I don't think Thornton's on any team, actually.
Well, that's what I mean because Thornton's been off of San
Yeah, he was
Jose
on
for
Toronto, and then he was on Florida.
Yeah, so it's been like 2 years. So that's why I was surprised.
I got you.
All right.
Okay, we figured it out.
First game back.
Yeah, I was gonna say like he
To San
just
Jose.
got traded to Carolina.
Reimer was their top player in that first game.
Oh yes, I remember. I looked at that. I was because obviously I cover Carolina, and I was like, hey, Reimer actually played pretty well in this game.
33 for 35 for a 9.47 save
Yeah,
percentage.
yeah.
Kept them in the game.
They only lost that game 2-1.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was not the case for Chicago, but Bert's already talked about that.
Yeah. That was
San
put
Jose
up 5
bad.
straight goals.
San Jose bad.
You know what's really
Carlson's
funny?
putting up points. Which
Yeah,
is
Carlson's
good.
playing all right. You know what's really funny is that I watched a NHL season preview by someone of the name Urinating Tree earlier today.
Yep.
Who is actually also from Pittsburgh, so I know you're listening, Tree. But during that like breakdown, he was talking about San Jose, and he was like, "Hey, if you put it together, maybe playoffs." I was like, "No." I was like, "No way, dude." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
He's not putting it
this was-
together.
This was before. This was after the global games. I think before these 2 games that he made that, but. I
No.
was like, "There's no,
No way.
dude. There's no way they're making the playoffs."
No. I want to say something that Bert didn't mention. Just because
Oh no,
Bert,
that's me.
you don't really look at shorthanded goals.
I don't know why I don't.
It's fine.
They're just kind of a blind spot for
Why
me.
I'm here.
That's your bread and butter, baby.
It's my bread and
Yeah.
butter. Because Chicago, 2 of the goals you mentioned were shorthanded.
Yeah, both by Sam Lafferty in a 5-minute period.
Well, but yeah, you giving up 2 goals
That's
shorthanded
backbreaking.
in a game.
I believe they were already.
They were already.
I think
losing.
that game. No, I think that game was tied. I think Lafferty's were their 3rd and 4th goals of that game.
I'm
if I
sorry.
remember
As soon as I
correctly.
said that, I remembered. Of course,
think it was
Of
tied.
course, Bert mentioned this.
And then
It's 2 shorthanded goals by one guy within 5 minutes.
on one of my teams.
Ugh.
But you're right. I usually don't.
2 shorthanded
But like,
goals.
what a kick to the nuts that is by the same guy on 2 separate penalties. So you had 2 power plays in about 5 minutes, and Sam Lafferty, who's not on your team, scored on both of them.
0 for 3 on the power play, and you're down 2 points during it.
Man, Sam Lafferty for Selke.
Aw.
He's a former Penguin, and I also think he's from around Pittsburgh. Too.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Way to get out. In Chicago, it's
Way to
not
get-
much better.
Way to get out. Way to move. Did I ever tell you that's what somebody said to me when I got the job up here? They were like, congrats on your job. They were like, I'm really happy for you because like a lot of people just stay where they're from. She's like, some like people live in Pittsburgh forever.
Yep.
And not that Pittsburgh's a bad place, but she was like,
Way to get out.
way to like move away.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you.
All right. Next up is Seattle, who I believe is the only 1-1-1 team this season.
I think so. Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. Well, there haven't been that many overtime games.
No.
I think just the one. I think just the one that Seattle was in was the only overtime game, I
Perfect.
think.
So I mentioned this before. I mentioned 2 of their games already because they lost in overtime to Anaheim,
Yes.
a very close game, and then they stomped on the Kings, and then they lost to Vegas.
I am interested to see how Seattle does this year because they made a bunch of moves that theoretically should make them better this season,
Yeah.
with free agent signings and whatnot. Oh, yeah, that's my neighbor's TV.
Are we picking that up? Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys can hear it. We can.
I
So
can.
I'm assuming you guys can. So sorry. Maybe we'll sit away from the wall next week.
No, I love it.
It's not even really that
I
loud.
feel like a spy.
But I am interested to see what Seattle does this year. They have Shane Wright, who I think played. He didn't play the first game, but I think he played the.
He played the first game. He only played 6 minutes, and he hasn't
He
played
didn't play
since.
that much. Well, they have him and Matty Beniers. They're both very young players.
Beniers is one of the top scorers this week.
Is he? There you go. I was going to say Beniers has played pretty well.
Beniers and Burakovsky have a goal and 3 assists.
I was like, what is that noise?
Don't worry about
I saw
it.
that you dropped that.
Don't worry about it. Beniers had a goal and assist in the game against Anaheim. Martin Jones is the top player
I'll be honest, forgot he was on Seattle.
in game 2
Yeah.
because Dreiger tore
he
his
hurt?
ACL in Worlds.
Poor Chris Dreiger.
Yeah, he tore his
Can't catch a
ACL.
break.
I believe he tore his ACL in Worlds, so they had to sign another goalie. He is not going to show up this season.
Poor Drieger. Poor Drieger.
So Jones had a 9.63, 26 for 27 against the Kings. It's one of the reasons that Seattle was so dominant against them. Unfortunately, he got chased against the Knights, going 19 for 24. Grubauer came in and was 6 for 6, but
19 for 24 is not that bad.
it's not. But
I mean, it is 5 goals, but I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen goalies be kept in for worse. Like that, whoever was the backup goalie on Montreal when he gave up 10 goals and they just wouldn't bring him out to put Carey Price in. I don't remember who
I don't
it
know
was.
that was.
It wasn't Jake Allen, but I don't remember who
Was it Montembeau?
No. This was I think before Montembeau was even playing
Ah.
or was even in the pros yet. I can't remember who it was, but I remember he was mad.
Yeah,
I remember he was like looking over at the bench like, "Come on,
Get me out of here.
let me come out of the game." Like, come on, and they were like, "Nope," and they lost that game 10-0. And
I
there's
do
a famous
remember that.
picture.
I
There's
do
a famous
remember.
picture of like Price, who I think was trying to get ready to go in, and he was like standing in the runway with like lights behind him and no mask, just standing there like,
Seattle, 5 for 13 on the power play.
Hey, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty dang good.
It's pretty good, but 7 for 12 on the penalty kill is not.
Yikes.
That's what I've been running into. A lot
Yikes,
of
Arena.
That, teams that are bad on the
Yeah.
power play this week are really good on the penalty kill.
I think
So-
I think it's like really early. Penalty kills usually don't dial in until a few weeks into the season when everybody's like, "Oh, like, this is what we're supposed to be
Right.
doing." Got it. Because even I will say, because I'm a Penguins fan, obviously I know more about the Penguins than anybody else. But Mike Sullivan did an interview after that first game with the Coyotes where they gave up two
Right.
power play goals, and he was like, "Yeah, there's some new guys on the power play that don't know how to play it yet, or
So
don't know
yeah,
like our system yet." So he's like, I was like, "All right, that's fair."
Right,
He
yeah,
wasn't
that's
throwing
fair.
anybody under the
No,
bus.
no,
He was
no.
just like, "So that's why they didn't play great." And then they played better against Tampa Bay. So
I did mention that Burakovsky also has a goal and 3 assists.
up.
And so he's been super helpful on their team offensively. They got that shorthanded goal against the Kings.
Oh, he was one of the big signings in the offseason.
Yes, he was.
Burakovsky. I was trying to think, like, who did they sign? I know they signed a couple of guys.
Yeah, Grubauer didn't play like in that overtime loss. He still didn't play that great. Some of the goals that he let in were soft. He made some good saves, but then let in some soft goals, unfortunately. So Grubauer's not playing like was 2 years ago, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm sure they were really hoping he was going to be like lights out after a really bad season last year for him.
So he can
Hey,
still
they got
up
Martin
it.
Jones though, baby.
He got Martin Jones.
They got Martin Jones.
Exactly.
He went to the Stanley Cup final that one time and lost to the Penguins.
Grubauer has a Stanley Cup.
Oh, with the Capitals.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot that he was still in the Capitals then.
So yeah,
Okay.
he left that year.
Oh yeah, the year after. Yeah. So did Barry Trotz.
Don't want to talk about that. All right. Next up is Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Oh, and 2.
Come on, Vancouver. Why can't you just be good? I want you to be good so bad so I can justify like putting you're my Western Conference team. I just want to I don't have any art in my condo really, but I want to put up a Vancouver banner and be like, "Yeah, I cheer for them in the Western Conference."
They lost 3-5 to Edmonton. and then 2-3 to Philly.
You lost to Philly.
And here's the thing. Against Edmonton, they were up 3-0. Against Philly, they were up 2-0. They blew multi-point leads for the first time in their team history.
That makes me want to barf.
JT Miller.
They were up 3-0. Well, I with Edmonton, I'm not shocked Edmonton could come back from that with McDavid, Draisaitl, and all the rest of them.
JT Miller's -8.
It matches his contract.
There it is. All right, no, so he's not -8.
Oh,
he's not
God.
-8 because he has some points, but he's been on the ice for all 8 of their goals.
Yeah.
Against.
Yeah. Again, it's the first week of the season, so don't jump off a bridge, any Vancouver fans. But
Defense was going to be a problem for them.
yeah,
Because,
they got some
like,
holes on defense. Yeah.
There was always going to be a problem for them. 1 for 13 on the power play,
Yikes.
giving up 2 shorthanded goals in both one in each game.
God, Vancouver, come on, come on, Barbecue Bruce.
I know,
Come
right?
on, you're such a lovable little round man.
And then
They played so well for him last year.
they really
What happened?
I don't know. What was it last year that was historically one of the worst? Was it their power play or was it?
It was their penalty kill that was at like 60% for like the first half of the season.
Well, we're back on track for 5 for 8.
No.
That's what I thought.
Come on, Vancouver.
5 for 8 on the penalty kill. I will say the Edmonton game did most of the damage, being 1 for 4.
Yeah.
They were 4 for 5 against Philadelphia.
Okay,
But-
that's okay.
Yeah.
Letting up 3 power play goals against Edmonton. Again, I'm not shocked because Edmonton has that kind of scoring power, but come on.
So, all right. So, I'm again looking at Edmonton, the 3-5 score line.
Excuse me.
So, 3 of their 5 goals were on the penalty kill,
Yeah.
and then one of their goals you were on the power play.
Oh, come on. Come on, Vancouver.
All right. Now I'm done making Bert sad.
I just want them to be good. I just want to cheer for Vancouver.
Tucker Pullman
I saw that. yeah.
injured in the first game. He is day to day. Also,
I saw that
Dermott was injured in the first game as well.
was he?
Is out for a week with concussion.
for Pullman. I saw a headline today that was like he might be out longer than they think because they called somebody up.
They're saying day to day just to say day to day.
Yeah.
They don't. I think his is undisclosed, so they're just
Right,
saying day to
yeah,
day,
yeah.
but they're not putting anything there. It seems like it's going to be longer term,
Bummer.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
But yeah, defensively, Vancouver is got a problem. They need to figure it out.
I mean, who's their defense? They have Quinn Hughes and then OEL
Yep.
and Tyler Myers. Isn't Tyler Myers hurt?
Myers is hurt.
That might be part of the problem.
Pullman is now hurt.
Pullman's now hurt.
Dermott's now hurt.
I don't know who the hell they're.
A lot of their guys are hurt. So they in the Edmonton game they were
taking
only
blows.
in the Edmonton game they were only playing 4 defensemen by the end of that game.
An injury here and there can be dealt with, but when it's all on either defense or offense or your goalies,
All at once,
it's just
that's
like a stab to the gut.
Yes, it
it's
is.
just like, bye, your season's over. Now all 5 of your 6 starting defensemen are injured.
Look at the Islanders last year. Hey, everybody gets COVID. Say bye to your season.
Yeah.
All right, finishing up with the Pacific, Vegas 3-0.
Yeah, they've looked good so far.
We've talked about all of their games so far. The Kings, Chicago, and Seattle. Thompson has played 2 of the 3 games. He got a shutout, 27 for 27. He was 27 for 30 in the first game against the Kings. And then Aiden Hill was 31 for 33. So both playing very well.
Good for them, because I think the biggest question mark with Vegas was what the hell are they going to do with their goaltending? Because obviously Robin Leonard
He's out for the year.
Robin Leonard's pretty much done.
He's done.
It seems
He's
like,
done.
yeah.
And then Brossoit is hurt, and he's going to be out long term.
So it's Thompson and Aiden Hill.
Yep.
So I'm glad to hear it. Thompson did play pretty well in the few games that he
He
played
finished that
last year.
season
Yeah.
strong.
So, hey, maybe that's your goalie of the future. Maybe
They seem to think so. I mean,
Maybe
he was the only reason they were still in the playoff
maybe you
hunt.
treat him better than you did Fleury and Leonard, but
Maybe.
maybe.
They have a bunch of guys that have a point a game. But Paul Cotter scored the winning goal.
Oh, he's one of the younger guys too.
Scored the only goal against Chicago.
Yep.
But Carlson and Marchand, I think, both have 3 points.
Mr. Cotter.
Um,
That's for my mom. Welcome back, Connor.
3 for 12 on the power play.
Nick at Night, shout out. 3 for
And
12 on the power play is pretty good.
I'm going to say their penalty kill just because it's 6 for 7. So it's not bad.
It's not bad either. They haven't
No.
taken that many penalties in
No,
in
they
3
have
games.
not. Eichel has 3 points as well. So,
That's got to be a relief
oh, yeah.
for everyone involved.
So,
It's
yeah,
like, oh, thank God.
they're looking good. And right now, they're looking right in that hunt for top of the Pacific.
I still will say hilariously after Buffalo did get better after they traded Jack Eichel.
I know.
And I know it's not all on him.
It makes me
They changed
sad.
coaches too, and all
Paul
of that.
Kruger was a hockey terrorist.
Paul Kruger was a hockey terrorist. Paul Kruger was clearly
The
one
problem.
of the main problems. But the divide between Eichel and the Sabres was untenable. Clearly,
at
the end.
that point, yeah.
Clearly, at the end, it was.
Give
it was
the man
not
the
fixable.
surgery he wants.
All right, let's finish things off with everybody's favorite division, the Metropolitan Division,
The Dome.
the Metro Dome. I don't know how much of a Metro Dome it will be this year. We'll see, because there might be 3 very strong teams, and then
the rest.
and then the rest. So. One of those very strong teams is Carolina, 2-0 this week. They beat Columbus and San Jose. Clay already mentioned that San Jose game. Pretty close, but Carolina did outshoot San Jose 35-19.
Yeah.
That's where James Reimer came in, as I mentioned before. Reimer was the only reason that San Jose was
The
anywhere
rhyme
close
and the reason.
in that game. As for the Columbus game, Carolina scored 4 unanswered goals after Columbus went up 1-0. Martin Necas had 2 goals and 2 assists.
Good for him.
Not much to say about Carolina.
Yep.
Starting out really strong,
Yep.
as I think a lot of people
Expect it.
expected.
It's going to be them and the Rangers for the division.
How dare you? How dare you?
I hate it too.
How dare you?
I hate it too.
The Penguins are technically atop of the division right now.
Right now.
So on the flip side, a team that has not started out well after.
If the Penguins prove me wrong, I will be upset.
I'm not a homer or anything.
No, not at all.
A team that has not started off very well after I think a lot of people thought they would at least take a step forward is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who blew all 3 of their games this week, losing to Carolina, like I just mentioned, losing to Tampa Bay, as Clay mentioned before, and also losing to St. Louis. 4-1, 5-2, and 5-2 are the scores of those games.
Score more, let in less.
They got outshot by Tampa Bay by 11 shots, 39-28. St. Louis pretty much just dominated them. They don't have a star this week because they played pretty bad. I know Goudreau did score a goal,
Yeah.
but otherwise he's been not
Invisible.
really there.
Yeah.
So I think I said that. I was like, he might drop down in points to like 80 points, maybe not even that if he
Of course
plays
he was
like
going
this.
to drop
Yeah.
down. The problem is the guy he was supposed to play with.
I'll get to that at the end.
I know. And that was the first game.
Yeah.
He was their 1 goal.
Yes, he was. Another team that started off pretty poorly after people thought they were like the dark horse pick to make the playoffs. The New Jersey Devils are 0-2.
Yeah, they are.
Now, again, it's the first week. Let's not overanalyze or overreact, but they did lose both games 5-2.
Yes.
1 to Philly, 1 to Detroit.
And they were calling for the coach's head.
They were, yes, in that Detroit game, the home team was calling for Lindy Ruff to be fired right then and there.
Yep. I mean, they were calling for that last year, but whatever.
Yeah, Lindy Ruff is kind of
A dinosaur.
He used to be a good coach, and now I just don't think he's adapted well. He was very good with the Sabres for a long time.
Yep.
And then he was okay with Dallas, and now he's been bad with New Jersey.
Well, and He stormed out of a press conference when they asked why.
Oh,
One player.
somebody wasn't getting a lot of. Oh, I think it was Jesper Bratt.
Well, the thing is, there was a very easy answer for that. Like Nico was out. There was a
Yeah.
basically
Nico Hischier is injured, so that might be part of the problem.
he's back this week.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
It's a little injury prone, that Nico Hischier,
Yes.
unfortunately.
there was a couple players injured, and they were just
Trying to figure lines out.
yeah. So that's why they weren't playing Bratt. But he just stormed off.
Well,
like
Bratt got like under 10 minutes of playing time.
Yeah.
After he had a huge season last year, and somebody was like, why weren't you playing Bratt more? And then he just stormed out. Not a good look.
No,
Not
at
a good
all.
look.
Especially when there was an easy answer that made sense. Like some Devils fan, brought out
Yeah.
a totally reasonable reason, like why Bratt didn't get much time. That
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Here's the biggest problem with New Jersey. It's the
Goalie.
same thing as last year. It's
goalie.
their goalies. Now, I saw shout out to Jay Fresh on Twitter, who is a big analytics person who puts out like analytics cards all the time,
Right.
for people to look at. He put out one today because there were no games yesterday. I guess he was just doing that today. That was like expected goals against versus actual goals against. And New Jersey, their expected goals against is like 1.5, and their actual goals against is almost 5.
it's crazy.
Which is insane.
Even-
and that's on the goalies at that point. And he had one metric
Even
where
the goalies are talking shit on like themselves.
Yeah.
think it was
he had
Wood.
one card where it showed everybody's like, it was essentially like offense is good, defense is bad, defense is good, offense is bad, everything's bad, and then everything's good. And like there was 2 teams up really high in the everything's good, and one of them was New Jersey. And then the people in the comments were like, why is New Jersey this bad? He was like, goalies.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
He's in your room.
She went in my room. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought she went in the kitchen.
No.
Sorry. I constantly have to figure out where my dog is.
The rapscallion.
So, yeah, Vitek Vanacek is maybe not the answer. But
Did he
again,
play
it's
both?
only 2 games. I think he did, yeah. The other goalie is Blackwood, who played very bad last year, too. But he played really well the year before that. So,
Right. So he's got to figure himself out.
yeah. Oh, man. Speaking of Jesper Bratt, like we were just talking about, he did have 3 assists,
Really? Good for him.
in these 2 games. Really bad goaltending, though.
Bad goalie.
Bad goalies. Bad. Let's move on to the New York Islanders, who went 1-1 this week. They did lose to a very good Florida team. It was a close game.
Yeah.
Florida, I believe, had an empty net goal, so really that was a 2-1
2-1
game.
Yeah.
So the Islanders were in it that whole time, but then they stomped Anaheim, like we already talked about.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
If you're an Anaheim fan,
For an Islanders fan, you're like, yeah.
do it.
So here's a weird thing about the Islanders. They have 8 goals so far, right? So they lost 3-1 to Florida, beat Anaheim 7-1. They have 8 goals so far. They have 6 of their 8 goals are from defensemen, and specifically 3 defensemen.
Salo.
Salo, Dobson, and Mayfield all had 2 goals.
Yep.
I
Salo
believe
had one empty net. They might have had an empty net.
against Anaheim. I don't think so.
No,
they wouldn't have had
I'm
the
being
goalie
silly.
pulled.
I'm being silly.
I believe Noah Dobson scored the only goal against Florida. He scored again against Anaheim. Mayfield had 2 goals in that game against Anaheim, and Salo had 2 goals in that game against Anaheim. So that's pretty interesting. You're not going to have that kind of production the entire year from your defenseman,
Right.
especially not from a guy like Mayfield, who is more of a defensive defenseman. Maybe Dobson, but not at this rate. He's not going to score 82 goals.
What if he did?
That would be insane if a defenseman scored. That's like, you're like, okay, well, you're better than Bobby Orr now,
Right.
I guess.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, so just an interesting start for the Islanders.
Yeah.
8 goals in 2 games, pretty good. Only 2 from forwards, which is really strange. So we'll see. But I guess their offense has looked
Figure
better.
that out before we make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think their offense has looked better. Obviously, against Anaheim, they scored 7 goals, but
All were even strength.
under Lambert, yeah. but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. You can't rely on your defensemen to score that
Not
many
like
goals
that. Not
going
like
on. Maybe
that.
for a few games, yeah, but not like that the whole season. So, like, so far, same problem as last year. Your forwards really aren't scoring, but we'll see. We'll see. It's only 2 games. The Rangers went 2-1 this week, beating Tampa, as Clay mentioned before, beating Minnesota, as I mentioned before, and losing to Winnipeg, as I also mentioned before.
That Tampa game, they were dominant.
Yeah,
I
they've looked
know I
really
said
good. That Winnipeg game notwithstanding, the Rangers have looked very good so far. Mika Zibanejad had a power play goal and a shorthanded goal against Tampa Bay.
He is a bad, bad man.
Panarin had 4 points against Minnesota, and Panarin ended up with 6 points overall with a goal and 5 assists for the week.
So last year we were talking about how their power play was unsustainable and their 5-on-5 was actually pretty bad in the league.
Yeah.
Now it seems that their power play might not be as good as it was last year, but their 5-on-5 has improved. So that
Yes,
makes them the
certainly.
same team that
Certainly.
they were last year, which is still a very good team.
And if your 5-on-5 is better, I feel like that's actually just better overall.
I would agree.
That makes you more dangerous for most of the game, rather than like whatever percentage of the game.
Like
you're on
you
the power
draw a
play.
penalty.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like you having to rely on drawing penalties to win a game.
Yeah.
It's not the best strategy. But if you can kill them whenever, do it.
Yeah, I agree. Shesterkin has looked pretty good so far.
He has looked very good.
It's Igor Shesterkin. That's what it was. Not Ilya. Ilya Sorokin is the Islanders
That's-
goalie. That's
okay,
what I
that's
got
my
them
bad.
confused. But let's move on to a team that's had a surprising start by probably most people.
That we talked a lot of crap on.
I'm still going to talk crap.
Me too.
The Philadelphia Flyers are 2-0, beating the New Jersey Devils and the Vancouver Canucks. Really, there's not much to say. They won both those games,
What I will say for the Vancouver game, because that was another like West Pacific team playing on the East Coast, so I watched all of that game.
Yeah.
Being down 2-0, they
The
did not.
Flyers were.
Yeah, the Flyers were down 2-0. They didn't change their game plan at all. They didn't panic. They just kept.
stayed with it.
They just kept.
That might be
doing
the John
game.
Tortorella effect. Say what you want about John Tortorella. He is a good coach.
Yeah.
And if he can get the Flyers players to buy in, they might be okay this year.
Also,
honestly.
he's been talking mad shit about the
the
Flyers.
Flyers.
He might be negging them. he
Might be working.
he might be just,
Might be working.
He might be gaslighting them into believing in themselves.
Well,
I don't understand it.
We'll see how they look against like
Better teams?
more competitive teams. I mean, they did beat the Devils, whose goalies are horrible.
Yeah.
And Vancouver, who is just like tripping out of the gate right away.
Yep.
So we'll see when they play other teams in their division, like Carolina or the Rangers, or like Boston or Toronto or whoever. We'll see how they do against them. But hey, you know what?
They played.
I won't talk shit on them.
They played their game
this
and they
week.
got their win against.
Travis Konechny seems to be flourishing with 3 goals and an assist in those 2 games. So we'll see how they do going forward. Let's talk about the other end of the Keystone State, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who also went to no, don't boo my team, who also went 2-0 this week,
That's all I got.
winning both games 6-2 over Arizona and Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's a good win.
Tampa Bay was a good win. Pittsburgh was pretty much in charge of that entire game. As for the Arizona game, like I mentioned before, Arizona did fight back against Pittsburgh, scoring 2 power play goals. Pittsburgh's penalty kill was only 3 for 5 in that game. It did look better against Tampa Bay, but I think they still gave up 1 power play goal against Tampa Bay.
Arizona got very chippy.
Oh, they
in that
did.
game.
Oh, they really did. Shane Gostisbehere, like, low-bridged Malkin, like
From behind.
right at his knee.
From behind.
It was a dirty. Thankfully, Malkin popped right back up. And then Malkin didn't even go after him. And for some reason, Malkin got a game misconduct for it.
What?
That's what me and the announcers and everyone else was thinking. Like, what? Why did he get a penalty?
First of all, I think
it didn't make any sense.
it was a preemptive game misconduct penalty, game misconduct,
or
'cause
whatever
it's
it was they called against.
We know what you're.
It was only a 2-minute penalty.
We know what
but
you're
it
gonna
was just
do,
like,
but no.
because I think it was Nick Ritchie who scored the 2 goals against the Penguins. Went and got up in Malkin's face about it. Malkin didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
which is weird for Malkin.
It is. And he's like one of the top guys that, like, if you hit him like that, he'll go right after you. He'll slash you in the face or something.
Right.
And he didn't do any of those things. He did, like, when he got hit, he kind of whipped around from the hit. And he did hit Gostisbehere with a high stick, I guess. But it was because of the hit.
If he had it, if he did,
He had it coming.
Yeah.
And then they, like, they hit Jari a couple of times, too. So, like, I think that might be how the Coyotes are going to play this year.
The Florida-Buffalo game got really chippy, so it's going to be really fun to watch that game, too. Like, those games.
Pittsburgh did outshoot Arizona, but I didn't write how many. I think Arizona had 28 shots. Pittsburgh had 53.
Oh, my goodness.
And they scored 6 off of them. Sidney Crosby is their top player of the week, and I believe actually the NHL's #1 star of the week with 2 goals and 4 assists this week.
I believe you are correct.
So he's going to score 246 points this week.
Let's do it.
Let's move on to Washington, who had kind of a sluggish start.
Slow start, yep.
Did lose to Boston 5-2, lost to Toronto 3-2, but then beat Montreal 3-1.
At least you beat the team that you're supposed to.
That's true. They should have beat Toronto too.
They should have beat
Toronto. The Boston game, they really weren't in at all. But
no. Well, they battled back they were up 3-0, battled back 3-2, and then that Krejci goal really killed it.
It just broke the momentum. Yeah. So the Toronto game was pretty close. Toronto stole it in the end, but pretty sluggish start by the Capitals. Not really anything to mention from special teams this week from them.
They scored 1 on the power play.
They did score 1. They didn't really give up that many penalty kill or power play goals against, but no goals from Ovi. I think his career is over.
He had 1 taken away.
His career is over.
That's it. Yeah, it's over. Their power play has looked
out of whack,
awful this year, and it's funny because they during the preseason tried different styles of
I see
of the power play. They did the star.
Interesting. I think that's what the Penguins do.
They did the star, and I don't think they really incorporated Ovi.
That's a mistake.
And it did really well. It did really well. But again, preseason. But
I mean, preseason's when you like play around.
But then during the regular season, they've gone right back to the umbrella, which they've been doing for years.
It's worked for years, so.
But it's not working anymore.
Well, it's like I mean, I say this every year. I'm like, everybody knows what they're gonna do. They're gonna go to Ovi on the power play.
Or Carlson,
or
one of the two on the bumper.
But they're but that's the top of the umbrella and like the left side of the umbrella. So like, how have teams not figured that out yet?
It seems like they have.
I mean, they have, but like Ovi's just so good at scoring goals that it doesn't matter if they figured it out or not. But
last year, their power play was the 23rd in the league.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
It's slowing down.
Well, I mean, Ovi
because
is in...
the team is slowing down.
What, Ovi's like 34 or 35 at this point,
36.
Isn't he? 36, yeah. He's going to slow down at some point.
Right.
So are all of the players at that age, but except Sidney Crosby. But they got to figure something out. They could turn it around. There's plenty. Obviously, there's 79 more games to play.
I will say Carlson played bad this week. John Carlson.
You were telling me that. Yeah.
He was not putting in an effort.
Can I just say real quick, you know how the NFL has red zone? The NHL should have something like that.
Oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Because I would watch that every night.
Blue Ice.
I think the NHL Network used to have something called NHL on the Fly, and that's what it was. And it was Kevin Weeks, and I apologize, it was some female host whose name I don't remember. But they were very good together. She was very good. Kevin Weeks is obviously great. Yeah. But they would just like
bounce around games.
They would show you all the scoring plays, and if nothing else was going on in any of the games, they would like sit on a Washington game for a few minutes, see what's going on, and then if something happened, they would cut right away, like the red zone does.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy and that still exists, and I just don't have the NHL Network to watch, but. Oh, man, that would be heaven to have that.
Yeah, Carlson still has 3 more years on his contract after this year. It's just like, no.
Yeah, you mentioned he's...
no.
Boy, yeah. I mean, you just mentioned it, but you mentioned it to me a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
You were like, man, Carlson looked bad in that first
He
game.
looks like he doesn't care.
He got his money.
Exactly. It's the problem. All right, continue.
Didn't he get a Norris too? Did he win the Norris?
No, he did not.
He was,
second.
one of the finalists.
He was
for the
second or
Norris, yeah.
third.
All right, let's move on to injuries and news for my teams. Carl Hagelin is now out indefinitely again, but this time with a hip injury
Yay!
and not the eye injury. So, I think Carl Hagelin his career might just be over,
he'll TIR
honestly,
forever.
which sucks.
Yeah.
Mason Appleton for Winnipeg is going to IR with an upper body injury. Let me just do the injuries first. Patrick Laine out 3 to 4 weeks with an elbow injury for Columbus. That happened after the first game of the season.
During the first game.
So that sucks. Oh, yeah, during the first game of the season.
He just hit him in just a way that, it was completely innocent, but his
elbow
arm got
injuries.
pinned in a way. It looked...
Elbow injuries are like knee injuries, where it's just like, oh, I need that.
Yeah.
To use that appendage.
And your elbow stops at an angle. So when you go past that angle, it really hurts,
Yep.
which is what happened.
You know what sucks? I have found out through like weightlifting that my left elbow just clicks whenever I lift stuff with it, or
fun.
whenever I like extended foot, like it did it just then, and I'm not even lifting anything, but I felt it, and it's like a tendon in my elbow that I can feel
It is, yes.
going back and forth across, like right here.
Your funny bone is a nerve.
That might be what it is.
Yeah.
But like I can like literally put my hand on it and feel it.
Gross.
Yeah, I know.
Gross.
My body's so gross. Anyway, Rasmus Ristolainen is also going on to IR with an undisclosed
I
injury.
thought he was already hurt.
He was already hurt. He has not played yet this
Okay.
year, but they have officially now put him on IR.
Gotcha.
Now, to more news. We'll talk about that last. Andy Green has retired. Formerly of the Devils and the Islanders.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Green, the defenseman.
Yes.
After a long career of pretty good play.
Yep.
Not superstar, but like dependable,
Solid, yes.
dependable. Former captain of the Devils for I think 5 years. Mm-hmm.
He retired.
Congratulations. Huh?
Did he retire a Devil?
I don't remember. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Kevin Bieksa, I know, retired a Vancouver Canuck.
Yes, he
because
did.
he signed a one-day contract to retire a Canuck.
He was supposed to do that 2 years ago, but that was right when COVID shut everything down.
Yeah. So he's been just kind of in limbo. He hasn't played.
He hasn't
so.
played. Like, he was gonna announce his retirement in like May or late March of 2020.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, and then I think he said the 20th. He was going to announce his retirement on the 20th of March.
It was like a week after COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was when everything shut it down. Because,
Which, still kind of going on. Go get your shots. I just got mine. I felt bad for a day, but I'm happy I got it now.
I felt bad for 2.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's just me. Every single
My arm just hurt for a day.
every single one hurt me.
Like oh really? My
all-
like initial one didn't really do anything to me, but everyone since then I've just felt crappy the next day. Not sick, just crappy.
All 4.
Interesting. Go get them anyway. It's
me
worth
down.
it. It's worth it because you won't die.
Yeah.
The NHL has concluded its investigation into Ian Cole.
That's what I was forgetting. I knew I was
and
missing
it
something.
showed no evidence, which
So
I'm not
Ian Cole is
surprised.
you have a burner Twitter account.
Yeah, I'm not surprised it showed no evidence. I will always believe the victims until there is evidence to the contrary.
Right.
But there's just no evidence either way for Ian Cole, so
He's back. In fact, the NHL Player Association is going to investigate.
yeah,
They've already said
they're mad at Tampa Bay for suspending him
because
with no evidence, essentially.
right.
But I kind of get it. I get it.
Nip that in the bud. Like,
And they were just like, you know what? You just won't play for the first week. It's fine.
yeah, it was suspended.
just figure it
it was
out.
suspended with pay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
not like he wasn't getting paid.
Right.
So, the NHLPA is just. I think they're just grandstanding. So
they're being the union.
they're not
they,
going to sue
that they
or
need
anything
to be.
like that.
Yeah.
But one of the bigger news stories of the week: the Hockey Canada executive board finally all resigned.
The day after we recorded,
Finally all resigned.
because Bauer dropped him.
And yeah, Bauer was the last big one to be like, no. So Yeah. So none of those dumbasses are in charge of Hockey Canada anymore. Thank God.
I don't know if any of the sponsors have come back.
I don't think so.
I don't think a single one has come back
I
yet.
think the sponsors will wait to see who's on the board.
Yeah.
Moving forward, to make a decision about that. But I would be very weary about it, certainly, if I was any of those sponsors. But we'll see. We'll see, I guess. But you can't just cover up sexual, like very serious sexual assaults. Not that I take that back. All of them are serious. But
Can't
like
cover up sexual assaults.
you can't cover up sexual assaults and just be like, whatever.
Right.
No,
You can't-
not when the greater public learns about it and are like, you shouldn't have done that. And they're like, whatever. Like, no, not whatever. No.
Yeah, Bauer dropping them was a big deal.
And that was after Tim Hortons dropped him.
Big maple syrup.
Big maple syrup. And Nike. All of them dropped them.
And if Nike's dropping you, you did something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. They're using children to make their products and they dropped you.
And everyone knows it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another piece of news that I saw right before you got here, Clay, was somebody suggested that the NHL and NHLPA should maybe come to a decision about in 3 years the cap is supposed to jump like $9 million. And I think it was one of the reporters suggested that maybe they should come to an agreement and just split it over the next 3 years instead of having it all in 1 year. Split it to have it like 3 each year.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't know that they'll do it, but I think it's a good idea because over half the league is in a cap issue at this point.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I think it's a fairly good idea. That's it. That's it for the first week of the NHL. Thank you for joining us, as always.
We're going to go watch hockey.
We're going to go watch hockey. It's because it wasn't on yesterday, because I guess football.
Football.
I did see somebody tweet that the NHL season is kind of light on Sundays, so I guess they don't want to try to compete with football because they'll lose.
Especially now that ESPN.
True. They don't want to compete with football, which I understand. They're never going to catch football in popularity. No. So that makes sense, I suppose. But we will be back next week, barring catastrophe, for week 2.
Woo.
Thank you for listening, as always. I think I said that already, but you can catch us wherever podcasts are at.
Found.
Give us a rate. Give us a subscribe. Give us a review. It helps us a lot, apparently.
Like us
wherever
you do.
We have a YouTube channel, too.
Yeah. Like that, subscribe.
Like it. Send it to people. Tell everybody about it. Get us more listeners. But we will see you next week at the same bat time. Same bat time?
Yeah.
Same puck time.
We're not doing baseballs.
Man,
It's the same puck place.
These little hobos are strong. Same puck time.
Same puck place. Bye.
God, bye.